Hello, everyone. We're so thrilled to have you join us today. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Now, let's dive into today's adventure. Welcome back, friends. It's great to see you. If you find value in our videos, please show your support by liking and subscribing. This helps us create more content for you. Alright, let's jump into the main story. Hey there, wonderful viewers. Thanks for stopping by. If you like what you see, please do us a favor and press like. Then subscribe to stay updated on our latest uploads. Now, without further ado, let's get into the heart of today's topic. Welcome. In the hushed whispers of dawn, when the cherry blossoms seemed to hold their breath in the gentle embrace of a rising sun, there lived a samurai unlike any other. His name was Kenshiro, a man of noble birth and honorable bearing, yet with a peculiar affliction that set him apart from his brethren. Kenshiro was a sleepy samurai, one whose eyelids drooped under the weight of dreams even as he stood resolute with sword in hand. The world around him was a tapestry of vibrant colors and sounds, each thread woven with tales of valor and whispers of ancient spirits. The Sengoku era, a time of great turmoil and unyielding ambition, was a symphony of clashing swords and silent shadows. Yet, amidst this cacophony, Kenshiro found solace in the gentle rustle of bamboo leaves and the soft lullaby of the river that wound its way through his village. As the first rays of the sun kissed the earth, Kenshiro stirred from his tatami mat, the warmth of sleep still lingering upon him like a comforting shroud. The air was crisp with the scent of pine and the distant promise of rain, a symphony of sensations that beckoned him to rise. However, his body was heavy, his eyes reluctant to part from the soothing embrace of slumber. He knew his duties awaited, the rigorous training and the unrelenting discipline that defined a samurai's life, yet his heart yearned for just a moment longer in the realm of dreams. It was a curious predicament, one that had followed him since his youth. As a child, Kenshiro was often found dozing beneath the shade of the great sakura tree that stood sentinel in his family's courtyard. His father, a stern and formidable samurai, would rouse him with a gentle, yet firm, reminder of the path he was destined to walk. A samurai must be ever vigilant, Kenshiro, his father's voice would echo, a mantra entwined with love and expectation. Yet, no matter how fervently he tried, Kenshiro's eyelids would flutter closed, as though drawn by an unseen force to the world of dreams. On this particular morning, Kenshiro donned his armor with the practiced ease of ritual, each piece a testament to the lineage he upheld. The armor was a tapestry of lacquered plates and silk cords, its weight a familiar embrace that grounded him in the waking world. The katana at his side, an heirloom passed down through generations, glinted with the promise of protection and honor. Despite the heaviness in his limbs, Kenshiro felt the stirrings of purpose, a reminder of the path he was bound to walk. As he stepped into the courtyard, the world unfolded before him in a delicate dance of light and shadow. The training grounds were alive with the sound of clashing swords, the air charged with the electricity of fierce dedication. Kenshiro's fellow samurai moved with a grace that belied their strength, each strike a testament to years of discipline and sacrifice. Yet, as he joined them, a familiar drowsiness began to creep upon him, a gentle insistence that tugged at the edges of his focus. His mentor, Master Hideo, a man whose wisdom was as deep as the ocean, regarded Kenshiro with a knowing smile. The mind is a battlefield, Kenshiro, he would often say, his voice as soothing as a gentle breeze. To conquer it is to know oneself. These words, a balm to Kenshiro's restless spirit, resonated within him, a reminder that his struggle was not insurmountable. As the morning sun climbed higher, the training intensified, each movement a dance of precision and intent. Kenshiro fought against the tide of sleep, his every step a testament to his determination. Yet, as the training drew to a close, a sense of unease settled upon him. There was a presence in the air, a whisper of something amiss, as though the world itself held its breath in anticipation. The village that nestled at the foot of the mountain, a tapestry of thatched roofs and winding paths, was a place of tranquility and hidden strength. Its people, resilient and steadfast, went about their daily lives with a grace that belied the turbulent times. Yet, on this day, a shadow seemed to hang over the village, an ethereal presence that danced just beyond the edge of awareness. It was during the midday meal, a simple yet nourishing repast of rice and pickled vegetables, that Kenshiro first sensed it. The villagers spoke in hushed tones, their voices tinged with a subtle tension that pricked at the edges of his consciousness. His senses, dulled by fatigue yet sharpened by an inexplicable urgency, caught fragments of conversation. Rumors of bandits in the nearby forest, whispers of a looming threat that lingered like a storm on the horizon. Kenshiro's heart quickened, a surge of adrenaline that cut through the haze of drowsiness. The bandits, if the rumors were true, posed a grave threat to the village, a menace that could not go unchallenged. His duty, the unyielding code of the samurai, called to him with a clarity that pierced through the fog of fatigue. Yet, as he prepared to rise, a gentle hand rested upon his shoulder. It was Aya, the village healer, whose presence was as calming as the gentle flow of a mountain stream. Her eyes, pools of wisdom and compassion, met his with understanding. "You carry a heavy burden, Kenshiro," she said softly, her voice a melody of kindness. "But even the strongest warrior must rest. The heart cannot fight when it is weary." Her words, a soothing balm to his troubled spirit, resonated within him. Kenshiro nodded, acknowledging both the truth and the weight of her counsel. He knew that rest was not a luxury, but a necessity, a truth as immutable as the changing of the seasons. Yet, as the sun dipped towards the horizon, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, Kenshiro felt the stirrings of uncertainty. The whisper of danger lingered in the air, a presence that refused to be ignored. He knew that the night would bring answers, and with them, a choice that would test the very core of his being. As the stars began to twinkle in the velvet embrace of night, Kenshiro found himself drawn to the edge of the village, where the forest loomed like a dark guardian. The trees, ancient and wise, seemed to murmur secrets to the wind, their leaves a chorus of anticipation. Kenshiro's heart, steady yet filled with a restless energy, beat in time with the rhythm of the earth. In the distance, the low howl of a wolf echoed through the night, a haunting melody that sent shivers down his spine. The forest, a realm of mystery and hidden dangers, beckoned to him with a siren's call. Kenshiro knew that beyond its shadowed embrace lay the answers he sought, the key to unraveling the threat that loomed over his village. With a resolve as unyielding as steel, Kenshiro stepped forward, his feet guided by instinct and duty. The path ahead was shrouded in darkness, a tapestry of unknowns that stretched into the horizon. Yet, within him burned a light, a beacon of honor and courage that would guide him through the night. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Kenshiro felt the weight of his ancestors upon him, their spirits a comforting presence that whispered of strength and resilience. The journey ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet within the heart of the sleepy samurai burned a fire that would not be extinguished. Thus, beneath the watchful gaze of the moon, Kenshiro embarked on a journey that would test the very essence of his being, a quest that would reveal the true depths of his strength and the unbreakable bonds of honor that defined him as a samurai. The night air hung thick with the scent of pine and earth, a cool balm against the skin as Kenshiro ventured deeper into the forest. Each step was a deliberate act, a dance between the man and the elements that surrounded him. The canopy above, dense and woven with shadows, filtered the moonlight into a dappled silver path that guided his way. The forest was alive with the whispered secrets of the night. Leaves rustled, swaying gently as if stirred by unseen spirits, while the distant call of a nightingale echoed through the trees, a haunting melody that wove itself into the fabric of the night. Kenshiro's senses, honed by years of training, picked up every sound, each a note in the symphony of the wilderness. Despite the serenity, a tension lay beneath the surface, a subtle reminder of the purpose of his journey. The village he had sworn to protect lay vulnerable, its fate intertwined with the path he now walked. He could feel it, a tug at his very soul, urging him to press on, to uncover the truth hidden within the shadows of this ancient forest. Kenshiro's mind drifted briefly, a gentle haze of memory washing over him as he recalled the teachings of his master. A samurai's heart must be as still as a calm river. The old man's voice echoed in his mind, yet his spirit must burn with the fierceness of an eternal flame. Those words, spoken years ago in the quiet confines of the dojo, now resonated with a profound clarity. He paused, taking a moment to center himself, drawing in a deep breath that filled his lungs with the crisp night air. As he exhaled, a sense of calm enveloped him, the worries of the world falling away like autumn leaves carried by the wind. It was in this state of tranquility that Kenshiro found his focus, the sleepy haze that often clouded his mind dissipating like mist at dawn. The path ahead twisted and turned, leading him deeper into the heart of the forest. The trees drew closer, their branches intertwining to form a natural archway, as if ushering him towards his destiny. Despite the encroaching darkness, Kenshiro felt a strange sense of comfort, as though the forest itself was an ally, a guardian watching over his journey. Occasionally, the underbrush would rustle, a small animal darting away at his approach, or the soft hoot of an owl would punctuate the silence, its eyes glowing like lanterns in the night. Yet, Kenshiro moved with a grace and confidence that belied his drowsy nature, each step a testament to the discipline that defined him. Deeper into the forest he ventured, until the path opened into a clearing bathed in moonlight. Here, the air was different, charged with an energy that prickled at his skin, setting his senses on high alert. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient shrine, weathered by time yet exuding an aura of power that was undeniable. Kenshiro approached with reverence, feeling the weight of history in the air, the presence of generations past who had stood where he now stood. The shrine was simple, yet intricately carved, the wood telling stories of battles fought and victories won, of peace and prosperity bestowed upon those who honored its sanctity. As he knelt before the shrine, Kenshiro felt a stirring within him, a connection to the past that transcended the boundaries of time. Here, beneath the watchful gaze of the moon, he sought guidance, a sign that would illuminate the path forward, revealing the nature of the threat that loomed over his village. The night deepened, and with it, a change in the air. The gentle rustle of leaves gave way to an unnatural stillness, a silence so profound that it seemed to echo within his very soul. Kenshiro's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of his katana, the familiar weight a comfort in the face of the unknown. Suddenly, the tranquility was shattered by a low growl, a sound that reverberated through the clearing, primal and menacing. Kenshiro rose to his feet, his eyes scanning the shadows for the source of the threat. The forest held its breath, as if waiting for the inevitable clash between predator and prey. From the darkness emerged a figure, its form indistinct yet undeniably human. Clad in dark robes that seemed to merge with the night itself, the figure moved with a fluid grace, a silent specter that exuded an aura of danger. Kenshiro's grip tightened on his weapon, his mind sharpening as adrenaline surged through his veins. The figure halted at the edge of the clearing, its face obscured by a mask that reflected the moonlight in a cold, metallic sheen. In its hands, it held a weapon, a wicked blade that glinted with malice, a testament to its deadly intent. The air crackled with tension, the night holding its breath in anticipation of the coming storm. Kenshiro's heart beat a steady rhythm, his mind calm and focused despite the threat that stood before him. The sleepy samurai, often underestimated, was now a warrior awakened, his spirit ablaze with the fire of determination and the unyielding resolve to protect those he held dear. In that moment, as the night closed in around them, Kenshiro understood that this was not just a battle for his village, but a test of his very soul. The forest watched, a silent witness to the unfolding drama, as the samurai and the shadow faced each other, their fates intertwined in the dance of life and death. And so, beneath the watchful gaze of the moon and the spirits of his ancestors, Kenshiro prepared to face the darkness that threatened to engulf his world, his heart a steadfast beacon of honor and courage that would light his way through the night. The forest stood as a cathedral of ancient wood and whispering leaves, a sanctuary where time seemed to hang suspended, each second stretched into eternity. The moon, a pale lantern in the sky, cast its silver glow upon the clearing where Kenshiro and the shadowy figure stood, poised on the knife edge of fate. The stars, distant and innumerable, flickered above as if holding their collective breath, their celestial dance momentarily paused to observe the earthly struggle below. Kenshiro was acutely aware of the weight of his katana, the blade an extension of his will and purpose. Its polished steel gleamed under the moonlight, a mirror reflecting his inner resolve. His grip tightened around the hilt, the familiar texture of the wrappings offering a sense of grounding, a reminder of the countless hours spent in discipline and training. Despite the lethargy that often clouded his mind, a clarity now settled over him, a sharpness honed by the urgency of the moment. Opposite him, the shadow figure moved with a serpentine grace, the rustle of fabric barely a whisper against the night air. The figure's eyes, dark and inscrutable, were fixed on Kenshiro, calculating and cold. For a moment, the world narrowed to the space between them, a taut line of possibility and consequence. The silence was shattered by the rustling of leaves, the wind carrying with it the faint scent of cherry blossoms, a reminder of spring's promise even in the heart of conflict. It was then that the figure lunged, a blur of motion that seemed to defy the lethargic pull of gravity. Kenshiro met the attack with a swift parry, the clash of steel ringing out like a clarion call, echoing through the forest. Their dance of death was a fluid exchange, a choreography of survival where each movement was both instinctive and deliberate. Kenshiro's senses were heightened, every fiber of his being attuned to the rhythm of the battle. The sleepy haze that so often clouded his thoughts was burned away by the adrenaline coursing through his veins, replaced by a crystalline focus. Yet, even as he fought, a part of Kenshiro's mind wandered to the villagers who lay sleeping, blissfully unaware of the danger at their doorstep. He thought of the children, their dreams untroubled, nestled safely under the watchful eyes of their parents. He thought of the elders, their wisdom woven into the very fabric of the village, a legacy that must be preserved. These thoughts lent strength to his weary limbs, a reminder of what he fought to protect. The shadow figure, relentless and unyielding, pressed the attack, each strike a testament to their deadly skill. But Kenshiro, despite his reputation as the sleepy samurai, proved a formidable opponent. He moved with a fluid grace, his katana an extension of his will, each swing precise and purposeful. As the battle raged, the forest seemed to come alive, the trees swaying in a silent symphony, their branches reaching out like silent sentinels. The moon, ever watchful, cast its ethereal glow over the combatants, the light a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. Finally, with a deft maneuver, Kenshiro saw an opening. He feinted to the left, drawing the shadow's attention, and then, with a swift pivot, he delivered a decisive strike. Time seemed to slow as his blade found its mark, the impact resonating through his arms and into the earth below. The shadow figure staggered, a low gasp escaping their lips, a sound that hung in the air like a mournful echo. They fell to the ground, the fight leaving their body like a whisper carried away by the wind. Kenshiro stood over them, his breath coming in ragged gasps, the adrenaline slowly ebbing from his system. In the stillness that followed, the forest resumed its timeless vigil, the rustle of leaves a gentle lullaby. Kenshiro sheathed his sword, the click of metal against scabbard a final punctuation to the night's events. He turned his gaze upwards, to the moon that had borne witness to his struggle, and offered a silent prayer of gratitude to his ancestors and to the spirits of the forest who had guided his hand. With the immediate threat vanquished, Kenshiro allowed himself a moment of respite. He leaned against the trunk of an ancient cedar, its bark rough and reassuring under his touch. The weariness that had been held at bay by sheer will now descended upon him, a gentle reminder of his own humanity. As he stood there, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, Kenshiro felt the pull of sleep tugging at the edges of his consciousness. It was a familiar sensation, one that he had often struggled against, but now, in the aftermath of battle, it felt like a balm. He closed his eyes, if only for a moment, allowing himself to drift on the currents of fatigue. In that liminal space between wakefulness and sleep, Kenshiro's mind wandered. He saw visions of the village, its people vibrant and full of life, their faces alight with laughter and joy. He saw the cherry blossoms in bloom, their petals a cascade of pink and white, a symbol of beauty and transience. And he saw himself, a samurai not defined by his sleepiness or his occasional lapses, but by his enduring spirit and unwavering commitment to protect those he loved. A rustling sound nearby stirred him from his reverie. Kenshiro's eyes snapped open, his senses alert despite the heaviness of his eyelids. From the shadows emerged a figure, familiar and welcome. It was Akira, his trusted friend and fellow samurai, who had come searching for him after realizing his absence. Kenshiro, Akira greeted, a mixture of relief and admiration in his voice. "You did well tonight," Kenshiro nodded, a tired but genuine smile on his lips. "I had good reason to." Together, they made their way back to the village, the path illuminated by the gentle light of the moon. As they walked, Kenshiro felt a sense of peace settle over him, a quiet contentment born from the knowledge that he had faced the darkness and prevailed. The forest, once a stage for conflict, now seemed a place of solace, its shadows no longer threatening but comforting. As the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, Kenshiro and Akira reached the edge of the village. The world was waking, the promise of a new day unfolding like a delicate blossom. And in that moment, Kenshiro knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the same steadfast heart and unwavering resolve. For he was a samurai, sleepy perhaps, but ever vigilant, ever ready to protect and serve. The village greeted Kenshiro and Akira with the familiar sounds of morning life. Roosters crowed, and villagers stirred from their slumber, their silhouettes moving against the gentle light of the morning. The air was rich with the scent of dew-kissed earth and the whispers of the wind through the cherry blossoms, each petal a precious fragment of the dawn. Kenshiro's steps were slow, each footfall a gentle reminder of the long night behind him. Yet, beneath the fatigue, there was a quiet strength, an unyielding spirit that pulsed like a hidden river beneath the surface. Akira walked beside him, silent but present, a steadfast companion. As they entered the village, Kenshiro felt the curious eyes of the villagers upon him. They had heard the tales of the night's events, of the sleepy samurai who had risen to meet the darkness. There was a newfound respect in their gazes, a recognition of the courage that lay beneath his unassuming exterior. Yuki, the village healer, approached them, her eyes bright with concern. She carried a bundle of herbs, their earthy aroma mingling with the morning air. "Kenshiro," she said softly, "you must rest. The body needs time to heal, even if the spirit is strong." Kenshiro nodded, grateful for her care. Yuki was wise, and her knowledge of the healing arts was unmatched. "Thank you, Yuki," he replied, his voice gentle. "I will rest, but first, there are things I must attend to." Akira placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of camaraderie. "We will ensure the village is safe, my friend. Your vigilance has given us time." Reassured, Kenshiro made his way to the small shrine at the heart of the village. It was a place of quiet reflection, where the spirits of the ancestors were honored and the samurai found solace. As he knelt before the shrine, the world around him seemed to fade away, leaving only the soft rustle of the wind and the distant song of a solitary bird. In that sacred space, Kenshiro allowed his mind to drift. He thought of his father, a stern yet loving man who had taught him the ways of the samurai. He remembered the long hours of training, the lessons in discipline and honor, and the quiet moments of guidance that had shaped him into the warrior he was. His father's wisdom echoed in his heart, a gentle reminder of the legacy he carried. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its golden light over the village, Kenshiro rose from his meditative state. He felt renewed, the weight of the night lifted from his shoulders. The path ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to walk it with courage and grace. Returning to his modest dwelling, Kenshiro found a small meal prepared by the villagers, a gesture of gratitude for his service. He ate slowly, savoring the simple flavors and the warmth of the hearth. The food nourished his body, and the quiet companionship of the village nourished his soul. Yet, even as he rested, the echoes of the night's events lingered in his mind. The forest, once a place of fear, had yielded its secrets, but Kenshiro knew there were greater mysteries yet to be unveiled. The shadows that had threatened the village were but the first of many challenges he would face. In the days that followed, Kenshiro immersed himself in the rhythms of village life. He trained with Akira, their swords clashing in a dance of precision and skill. Each movement was a testament to their bond, an unspoken promise of loyalty and trust. The villagers watched with admiration, their hearts buoyed by the presence of the samurai. But Kenshiro's true challenge was not in the mastery of his blade, but in the mastery of himself. The sleepiness that had once been a hindrance was now a companion, a reminder of the delicate balance he must maintain. He embraced it, learning to listen to the rhythms of his body and the whispers of his mind. In stillness, he found clarity. In rest, he found strength. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of crimson and indigo, Kenshiro found himself drawn to the forest once more. The night was alive with the song of crickets and the soft rustle of leaves, a symphony of nature that soothed his soul. He walked deeper into the woods, his senses attuned to the world around him. The path was familiar now, the shadows no longer a source of fear but of wonder. As he moved, he felt the presence of something ancient and powerful, a force that pulsed beneath the surface of the earth. At the heart of the forest, where the trees stood tall and proud, Kenshiro paused. The air was thick with the scent of pine and moss, and the ground beneath his feet felt alive with energy. Here, in this sacred space, he felt a connection to something greater than himself, a thread that wove through the fabric of time and space. Closing his eyes, Kenshiro breathed deeply, allowing the forest to fill his senses. He felt the presence of the samurai who had come before him, their spirits watching over him, guiding him. It was a moment of profound peace, a reminder of his place in the world and the legacy he carried. As the night deepened, Kenshiro returned to the village, his heart light with the knowledge that he was not alone. The path of the samurai was one of solitude and sacrifice, but it was also one of connection and purpose. He was a guardian, a protector, and in his sleepy, unassuming way, he would continue to serve. The moon hung high in the sky, casting its silver light over the village, and Kenshiro knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with courage and grace. For in the quiet moments, in the spaces between wakefulness and dreams, he had found his strength. And in that strength, he had found his path. The village lay still beneath the moon's gentle embrace, and the soft whispers of the night enveloped Kenshiro as he walked quietly through the narrow, winding paths. Each step was a meditation, his mind drifting between realms of consciousness, the ethereal world of his dreams mingling with the earthy scent of the ground beneath his feet. Kenshiro's presence was a soothing balm to the village, much like the distant lull of a bamboo flute carried on the wind. He was a silent sentinel, a figure of quiet authority whose sleepy demeanor belied the sharpness of his senses and the depth of his understanding. As he moved, the soft rustle of leaves accompanied him, a natural symphony that harmonized with the rhythmic beat of his heart. The villagers, tucked away in their homes, were unaware of the serene watchfulness that surrounded them. For Kenshiro, this was a time of reflection, a pause in the ceaseless flow of responsibilities and duties. He found solace in these moments, when the world seemed suspended in a tranquil balance, and the weight of his sword was matched only by the weight of his thoughts. Yet, beneath the surface calm, an undercurrent of tension rippled through the village. Whispers of unrest had reached Kenshiro's ears during the day, tales of bandits prowling the outskirts, their presence more a shadow than a threat but enough to stir unease. The villagers spoke of strange lights flickering in the forests at night, and the echo of unfamiliar voices carried on the breeze. Kenshiro's instincts, honed by years of training and discipline, told him that something was amiss, a disturbance in the harmony he so cherished. He paused at the edge of the village, where the path met the forest, and gazed into the darkness. Here, the trees stood as ancient sentinels, their branches intertwined in a dance as old as time. Kenshiro felt a kinship with them, a shared history of standing guard over this land. The night air was cool against his skin, a gentle reminder of the world that lay beyond his immediate perception. As he stood there, an unexpected sound reached his ears, the faint rustle of movement, barely discernible against the backdrop of the night. Kenshiro's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of his katana, the polished wood familiar and comforting beneath his fingers. He remained still, his senses expanding outward, seeking the source of the disturbance. It was then that a figure emerged from the shadows, a silhouette framed by the moonlight filtering through the trees. Kenshiro recognized the man immediately, Hiroshi, a fellow samurai from a neighboring village. His arrival was unexpected, and the urgency in his eyes spoke of matters that could not wait for the light of day. Kenshiro, Hiroshi greeted, his voice a low murmur, respectful of the tranquility that surrounded them. "Forgive my intrusion at this hour, but I bring news that cannot wait." Kenshiro inclined his head, acknowledging the gravity of Hiroshi's words. "Speak, my friend. What troubles you?" Hiroshi stepped closer, his expression grave. "There have been sightings of Ronin near our borders. They move under the cover of night, and their intentions are unclear. Some say they seek to challenge the peace we have fought to maintain." The mention of Ronin, a samurai without a master, was enough to stir a flicker of concern in Kanshiro's heart. These masterless warriors were unpredictable, driven by motives that often clashed with the codes of honor and loyalty that defined the samurai way. "Have they made any move against the villages?" Kanshiro inquired, his mind already formulating a plan to address this new threat. "Not yet," Hiroshi replied, "but their presence alone is enough to sow fear among the people. We cannot allow them to disrupt the harmony we have worked so hard to preserve." Kanshiro nodded, understanding the weight of Hiroshi's words. The path of the samurai was not only one of personal honor but also of responsibility to protect those who could not protect themselves. The villagers looked to them for guidance and safety, and it was a duty Kanshiro embraced with quiet resolve. "I will join you," Kanshiro said, his decision firm. "Together, we will ensure that these Ronin do not threaten the peace of our lands." Hiroshi's expression lightened, a flicker of relief crossing his features. "Your presence will be a great comfort to the people, Kanshiro. I knew I could count on you." With their course set, the two samurai turned their attention to the task at hand. As they walked side by side, Kanshiro felt a renewed sense of purpose, the sleepy haze that often clouded his thoughts replaced by a sharp clarity. He was reminded of the strength that lay within him, the strength he had found in the quiet moments beneath the moonlit sky. The journey to Hiroshi's village was a silent one, the night weaving a tapestry of shadows around them. The moon watched over their passage, a constant companion in the vastness of the sky. Kanshiro's mind drifted to the teachings of his master, the lessons etched into his soul through years of discipline and meditation. Strength is not the absence of fear, his master had once told him, but the courage to face it. "In the silence, you will find your truth." These words resonated deeply with Kanshiro as he walked, a mantra that guided his steps and steadied his resolve. He had faced many challenges in his life, each one a test of his spirit and will. This new threat was no different, a trial that would demand all of his skills and wisdom. As they neared the village, the first light of dawn began to break across the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. It was a new day, a new beginning, and Kanshiro felt a sense of renewal wash over him. The village was stirring to life as they arrived, the people emerging from their homes to greet the morning. Kanshiro and Hiroshi were met with nods of respect and gratitude, the villagers recognizing the guardians who stood watch over them. Kanshiro's heart swelled with a quiet pride, the knowledge that he was part of something greater than himself, a thread that wove through the fabric of time and space. He was a sleepy samurai, yes, but his spirit was awake, alive with the promise of the future. As the sun rose, casting its warm glow over the land, Kanshiro knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with courage and grace. For in the quiet moments, in the spaces between wakefulness and dreams, he had found his strength. And in that strength, he had found his path. The village, with its thatched roofs and winding paths, lay nestled like a secret in the valley, surrounded by a sea of mist that lingered in the cool morning air. The gentle clatter of wooden shutters being opened and the soft murmur of voices floated through the crisp dawn, a symphony of life awakening. Kanshiro and Hiroshi, with their swords sheathed by their sides, walked through this living tapestry, their presence a silent promise of protection and peace. Kanshiro's mind was a tranquil river, flowing with thoughts both ancient and new. The weight of his sword was familiar, a comforting burden that reminded him of his duty. Yet, as they moved through the awakening village, his eyes, despite their habitual heaviness, were wide open, drinking in the beauty of the world he had sworn to defend. Their journey had not been without peril. The night before, they had encountered bandits lurking on the outskirts of the village, shadows in the moonlight with eyes like wolves. Kenshiro had felt the adrenaline surge through his veins, a fire that momentarily banished his lethargy. With precision and calm, he and Hiroshi had driven them back, their swords a blur of moonlit steel. It was a dance, a deadly ballet, and Kenshiro, even in his drowsiness, had moved with a grace that belied his reputation. Now, as the villagers began their daily routines, Kenshiro's thoughts drifted to the past, to the path that had led him here. His life as a samurai had been one of constant training, of honing his body and mind to the sharpness of his blade. Yet, even as he mastered the art of war, he had struggled with the weight of his own eyelids, a peculiar affliction for one in his position. It was a secret he held close, shared only with Hiroshi, his loyal companion and friend. Their bond was forged in the fires of battle and tempered by shared dreams. Hiroshi, ever vigilant and alert, had often covered for Kenshiro, standing guard during the long nights when sleep threatened to claim him. In return, Kenshiro offered wisdom and insight, a depth of understanding that came from observing the world through half-closed eyes. It was a partnership of balance, each compensating for the other's weaknesses. As they passed through the village, Kenshiro noticed the children playing in the fields, their laughter a bright melody against the backdrop of the rustling bamboo. He smiled, a rare expression that softened the stern lines of his face. These children, with their unguarded joy, reminded him of the purity of life, the simplicity that lay at the heart of all things. Yet, beneath the surface of this tranquil morning, a current of unease rippled through Kenshiro's consciousness. The bandits' presence so close to the village was unusual, a sign that something was amiss. His instincts, honed over years of vigilance, whispered of danger lurking at the edges of their peace. Hiroshi sensed it too. He glanced at Kenshiro, his eyes a question that needed no words. Kenshiro nodded, their silent communication a testament to their understanding. They would investigate further, ensure that the village remained secure. But first, there were duties to attend to, rituals that grounded them in the present and connected them to the past. They made their way to the village shrine, a place of quiet reverence and reflection. The air was thick with the scent of incense, the smoke rising in delicate tendrils toward the heavens. Kenshiro knelt before the altar, his hands folded in prayer. He sought guidance from the spirits of his ancestors, a link to the wisdom of those who had walked this path before him. As he prayed, a vision unfolded in his mind's eye, a dreamscape woven from threads of memory and intuition. He saw the village as it might be, flourishing under the protection of its samurai, but also glimpsed shadows creeping in from the periphery. Faces appeared, indistinct but familiar, their intentions shrouded in mystery. It was a forewarning, a puzzle that Kenshiro knew he must solve. Rising from his prayer, he shared his vision with Hiroshi, his voice a whisper in the stillness of the shrine. Hiroshi listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought. Together, they pieced together the fragments of the vision, seeking clarity in the haze of uncertainty. Their deliberation was interrupted by the arrival of an elderly villager, his face lined with years of toil and wisdom. He approached with a respectful bow, his eyes filled with gratitude and concern. "Samurai-sama," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "there have been strange occurrences in the forest to the north. People speak of lights in the night and whispers carried by the wind." Kenshiro and Hiroshi exchanged a glance, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. The forest, with its ancient trees and hidden paths, had long been a place of mystery and legend. It was said to be home to spirits and creatures that dwelt in the spaces between the world of the living and the realm of shadows. "Thank you for your vigilance," Kenshiro replied, his voice steady and reassuring. "We will investigate and ensure the safety of the village." With a nod of understanding, the villager departed, leaving Kenshiro and Hiroshi to ponder their next move. The forest called to them, a whisper of adventure and danger that stirred the blood. It was a test of their resolve, a journey into the unknown that would demand all their skill and courage. As they prepared to set out, Kenshiro felt a familiar drowsiness tug at the edges of his consciousness. He shook it off, focusing on the task at hand. There was no room for sleep now, no time to indulge in the luxury of dreams. The forest awaited, and with it, the answers they sought. The path to the forest was steep and winding, cutting through fields of swaying grass and clusters of wildflowers. The sun had risen higher, casting its golden light over the landscape, but within the forest's embrace, the world was shrouded in shadow. The air was cool and damp, rich with the scent of earth and pine. Kenshiro and Hiroshi moved with stealth and caution, their senses attuned to the slightest rustle of leaves, the faintest whisper of the wind. The forest was alive with secrets, its silence a tapestry woven with unseen threads. As they delved deeper, the atmosphere grew tense, the shadows lengthening with each step. It was Hiroshi who first noticed the anomaly, a faint glow emanating from a clearing ahead. They approached with silent footfalls, their hands resting on the hilts of their swords, ready to spring into action. The glow resolved into a cluster of lanterns, their light flickering like fireflies against the encroaching dusk. In the clearing, figures moved with purpose, their forms obscured by the trees. Kenshiro and Hiroshi crouched in the underbrush, observing the scene with keen eyes. Among the figures was a man dressed in robes of deep indigo, his presence commanding and enigmatic. He spoke in low tones, his words carried to their ears by the breeze. "The time is near," the man intoned, his voice a sonorous melody that resonated through the glade. "We will reclaim what is ours, and the village will bow before our might." Kenshiro felt a shiver run down his spine, a premonition of the storm that brewed on the horizon. The villagers' safety hung in the balance, the threat more dire than he had anticipated. Yet, as he watched, a plan began to take shape in his mind, a strategy that would turn the tide in their favor. With a nod to Hiroshi, they retreated into the shadows, their presence undetected by the gathering below. They would return to the village, rally their forces and prepare for the coming confrontation. It was a challenge worthy of a samurai, a test of honor and valor that would define their legacy. As they made their way back, Kenshiro felt a sense of calm settle over him, a clarity born of purpose. The weight of his sword was a familiar comfort, a reminder of the path he had chosen. He was a sleepy samurai, yes, but now, more than ever, he was awake to the call of destiny. The night sky stretched above them like an endless scroll painted with the ink of dreams, the stars scattered across it like the delicate strokes of a master's brush. Kenshiro and Hiroshi moved silently through the forest, their footsteps as soft as the whispers of leaves in the evening breeze. The path back to the village was illuminated by the silvery glow of the moon, casting long, shifting shadows that danced like phantoms around them. As they walked, the air was thick with the scent of pine and earth, a comforting aroma that reminded Kenshiro of the transient nature of life, how each moment was both fleeting and eternal. He could hear the distant call of a nightingale, its song a melancholic echo that spoke to the heart of things left unsaid. "Hiroshi," ever attuned to the subtlest of changes in his companion, glanced at Kenshiro with a knowing smile. "You seem different, my friend. More awake than I have ever seen you." Kenshiro chuckled softly, his voice a gentle murmur in the stillness. "Perhaps it is the clarity of purpose that sharpens the senses, or perhaps it is the weight of responsibility that keeps sleep at bay." Hiroshi nodded, understanding the deeper truth that lay beneath his friend's light-hearted words. They were samurai, bound by duty and honor, and yet, in this moment, they were simply two souls walking the path of fate. As they neared the village, the first hints of dawn began to brush the horizon with strokes of pink and gold. The world seemed to hold its breath, suspended in the fragile beauty of transition. Kenshiro felt a surge of anticipation, the promise of new beginnings and the inevitability of change. The village lay nestled in the valley, a tapestry of thatched roofs and winding paths. Its people were just beginning to stir, unaware of the shadow that loomed so close. Kenshiro and Hiroshi quickened their pace, their thoughts focused on the task ahead. They entered the village as the first rays of sunlight kissed the rooftops, casting a warm glow over the scene. The villagers greeted them with nods and smiles, their trust in the samurai evident in their eyes. Kenshiro felt a pang of affection for these people, their simple lives intertwined with his own. In the center of the village, a small group had gathered, drawn by the sense of urgency that radiated from the two samurai. Kenshiro addressed them, his voice steady and calm, yet carrying the weight of what was to come. "A threat approaches," he began, the words heavy with significance. "Warriors from the north plan to seize our village. We must prepare, for their intentions are not honorable." A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd, but Kenshiro continued, his gaze holding theirs with unwavering resolve. "We are samurai, protectors of this land and its people. We will stand together, as one, and we will not falter." The villagers listened, their fear tempered by the strength and certainty in Kenshiro's voice. They knew of the samurai's skill, their reputation for bravery and discipline. Kenshiro's presence was a beacon of hope, a promise that they would not face the coming storm alone. Plans were made swiftly, each person given a role to play. The villagers, though not warriors by trade, were resourceful and determined. They would defend their homes with all they had, their hearts united in the cause. As the sun climbed higher, casting its golden light over the preparations, Kenshiro felt a sense of peace settle over him. The village was alive with purpose, each person moving with a quiet determination that spoke of their resilience. Hiroshi joined him, his eyes scanning the bustling scene. "They are ready," he said, his voice filled with quiet admiration. "And so are we," Kenshiro nodded, his heart swelling with pride for the people gathered before him. "Yes, we are ready. We will meet our destiny with courage and honor." The day unfolded with a quiet urgency, every moment steeped in the knowledge of what lay ahead. Kenshiro moved among the villagers, offering words of encouragement, his presence a steadying force amidst the rising tension. His mind was clear, his senses alert, each moment bringing him closer to the inevitable confrontation. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of amber and rose, a hush fell over the village. The air was thick with anticipation, the collective breath of a community poised on the brink of change. Kenshiro stood at the edge of the village, his gaze fixed on the distant hills. The enemy would come from that direction, their approach heralded by the sound of hoofbeats and the clash of steel. He felt a calm certainty settle over him, a deep-rooted confidence that stemmed from years of training and the unyielding bond he shared with those around him. The first signs of the enemy's approach were subtle, a distant rumble, the tremor of the earth beneath their feet. Kenshiro raised his hand, a signal to the villagers to take their positions. The air was electric with anticipation, the moment suspended in time. And then, like a storm unleashed, the enemy poured into the valley, their numbers daunting, their intent clear. But Kanshuro stood firm, his sword drawn, the embodiment of the samurai spirit, a guardian, a warrior, and a dreamer. The clash of battle was a symphony of chaos and courage, a dance of life and death played out under the watchful gaze of the setting sun. Kanshuro moved with grace and precision, his every action a testament to his training and resolve. He fought not just for himself, but for the village, for the promise of tomorrow. Time seemed to stretch and contract, the moments blurring into a tapestry of movement and sound. Kanshuro was aware of Hiroshi at his side, their movements in perfect harmony, a seamless partnership forged in the fires of adversity. As the battle raged, a quiet determination fueled Kanshuro's every action. He was the sleepy samurai who had found his purpose, his path illuminated by the light of honor and duty. The enemy was fierce, but the samurai were resolute, their hearts united in a common cause. In the end, as the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded into the twilight, it was the spirit of the village that emerged victorious. Kanshuro stood amidst the aftermath, his sword sheathed, his heart at peace. The sleepy samurai had awakened to his destiny, his legacy secured in the hearts of those he had protected. The village gathered around him, their faces a tapestry of relief and gratitude. Kanshuro met their gaze, his own filled with the quiet strength of one who had faced the storm and emerged unbroken. As night descended, the stars began their slow dance across the heavens, a reminder of the infinite cycles of life and renewal. Kanshuro felt the weight of sleep tug at his eyelids, a gentle insistence that he could no longer resist. But this time, as he surrendered to its embrace, it was with the knowledge that he had truly lived, that he had found his place in the world. The sleepy samurai dreamed of cherry blossoms and the soft rustle of leaves, a world at peace, where the only sound was the gentle lullaby of the wind. And in the heart of that dream, he found solace, a promise of new beginnings and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The village of Kurakawa, nestled within the embrace of ancient mountains and veiled in the soft whisper of cherry blossom petals, basked in the glow of an unexpected serenity. The air was thick with the scent of fresh rain mingled with the earthy undertones of the forest, a symphony of nature's resilience. The sleepy samurai, Kanshuro, had become a part of this tapestry, his spirit intertwined with the land he had vowed to protect. In the days that followed the storm, the village began to heal, its people united by the trials they had endured and the hope that now blossomed anew. Kanshuro, though often seen with his eyes half closed, moved through the village with a newfound purpose. Each day was a tapestry woven with simple acts of kindness and the quiet strength of a man who had found his calling. As the sun climbed the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the ground, Kanshuro found himself drawn to the edge of the village, where the forest began its own silent dominion. Here, beneath the ancient canopy of trees, he could feel the pulse of the earth, each heartbeat a reminder of the life that thrived in this secluded corner of the world. It was here that he met Ayame, a young woman whose presence was as soothing as the gentle babble of a nearby brook. With eyes that mirrored the deep, tranquil pools of the forest, she seemed to possess an innate understanding of the world around her. Her laughter was a melody, light and airy, a balm for the weary soul. Together, they walked the forest paths, Ayame sharing stories of the village's past, tales of courage and sacrifice that had shaped the people of Kurakawa. Kanshuro listened, his heart swelling with a quiet admiration for the resilience of those who had come before him. Her voice was a thread, weaving a connection between past and present, a tapestry that bound them all together. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Ayame led Kanshuro to a secluded grove. Here, amidst the delicate embrace of cherry blossoms, stood an ancient stone, its surface etched with the worn characters of a forgotten script. "This is the Heartstone," Ayame explained, her voice a soft murmur against the evening breeze. "It is said to hold the memories of our ancestors, their hopes and dreams, their struggles and triumphs." Kanshuro reached out, his fingers brushing the cool surface of the stone. In that moment, he felt a connection to the past, a thread that linked him to generations long gone. It was as if the stone whispered to him, the voices of those who had walked these paths before him rising to meet his own. As night fell, the village gathered once more, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of torches. The air was alive with the scent of roasted chestnuts and the sweet fragrance of plum wine, a celebration of life and the bonds that held them together. Kanshuro stood among them, his heart full, his spirit at peace. But even in this moment of tranquility, a shadow lingered at the edge of his consciousness. It was a whisper of something unseen, a presence that stirred the air with a subtle tension. Kanshuro felt the weight of the unseen, a reminder that peace was a fragile thing, easily shattered by the winds of change. In the days that followed, the village continued its dance with life, each day a step in the delicate balance between past and present. Kanshuro found solace in the rhythm of the seasons, the ebb and flow of the natural world that mirrored his own journey. Yet the shadow persisted, a specter that loomed ever closer, its presence a dark cloud on the horizon. It was a reminder of the world beyond the village, a world that was not always kind, not always just. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, Kanshuro found himself standing at the edge of the forest, his heart heavy with the weight of the unknown. The air was thick with anticipation, the stillness broken only by the distant cry of a lone crane. He closed his eyes, reaching out with his senses, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath his feet, the whisper of the wind in the trees. It was then that he heard it, a sound so faint it could have been mistaken for the rustle of leaves, yet it carried a weight that spoke of something more. Kanshuro opened his eyes, his gaze fixed on the shadows that lingered just beyond the edge of the forest. There, amidst the darkness, he saw a flicker of movement, a shape that seemed to blend seamlessly with the night. His heart quickened, the thrill of the unknown coursing through his veins. The shadow moved again, a fluid grace that spoke of danger, of a threat that lurked just beyond his reach. With a quiet determination, Kanshuro stepped forward, his senses heightened, every nerve alive with the anticipation of what lay ahead. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the world narrowing to a single point as he drew closer to the source of the shadow. And then, as if sensing his presence, the figure emerged from the darkness, stepping into the moonlight with a fluid grace that spoke of deadly intent. The stranger's face was obscured by a mask, a visage that hid their true intentions, their identity a mystery wrapped in shadow. Kanshuro felt the weight of the unseen pressing down upon him, the air thick with the promise of conflict. Yet even in this moment of tension, there was a calmness within him, a certainty that he had found his place in the world. The stranger spoke, their voice a low murmur that carried on the night breeze. "You have found peace here, sleepy samurai, but peace is a fleeting thing, easily shattered by the winds of change." Kanshuro met the stranger's gaze, his own steady, his heart untroubled by the threat of violence. "Peace is not something that can be taken," he replied, his voice a quiet strength that echoed in the stillness. "It is a choice, a path that we walk each day." The stranger nodded, a gesture of respect, of understanding. Then let us see where your path leads, sleepy samurai. Let us see if you can hold onto your peace in the face of the storm. With that, the stranger turned, their form melting back into the shadows, leaving Kenshiro alone in the moonlight, his heart steady, his spirit unbroken. As the night deepened, Kenshiro felt the weight of the world settle upon his shoulders, the burden of the unseen pressing down upon him. Yet even in the face of the unknown, he found strength in the choice he had made, in the path he had chosen to walk. For in the heart of the night, beneath the watchful gaze of the stars, Kenshiro knew that peace was not a destination, but a journey, a path that he would walk with honor, with courage, and with the quiet strength of a sleepy samurai who had awakened to his destiny. The dawn broke gently over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of amber and rose, a delicate prelude to the day that awaited Kenshiro. The sleepy samurai stood at the edge of the village, where the fields stretched out like a sea of emerald, rippling softly in the morning breeze. His mind, still heavy with the encounter of the previous night, was a tapestry of thoughts and questions woven together with threads of anticipation. Kenshiro's steps were unhurried as he made his way to the forest that bordered the village, a sanctuary of tranquility where he often found solace and clarity. The path was familiar, a narrow trail lined with ancient trees whose leaves whispered secrets as they swayed gently above him. The air was cool, invigorating, and carried the scent of earth and pine, a fragrant reminder of the world's resilience and beauty. As he walked, Kenshiro's mind drifted back to the words of the stranger. Let us see if you can hold onto your peace in the face of the storm. The phrase lingered in his thoughts, echoing with a resonance that was at once both a challenge and a promise. Peace, he mused, was an elusive companion, often obscured by the chaos of life and the turmoil of the heart. Yet, it was a companion worth pursuing, worth holding onto with every fiber of his being. The forest opened up to a clearing, a serene meadow bathed in the soft light of morning. Kenshiro paused, taking in the beauty of the scene before him. It was here, amidst the quiet splendor of nature, that he often practiced his forms, each movement a dance of grace and discipline. Today, however, his practice was not for the honing of skill, but for the calming of the spirit, a meditation in motion. He drew his sword, the blade catching the light as it sliced through the air with a whispering elegance. Each swing, each step, was a part of a fluid choreography, a symphony of motion that required no thought, only presence. As he moved, Kenshiro felt the world fall away, replaced by a stillness that enveloped him like a gentle embrace. His eyelids, heavy with the familiar weight of sleep, fluttered closed briefly, and he allowed himself to be guided by instinct and memory. The peace he sought was not a cessation of conflict, but a harmony with the forces that surrounded him, a balance between the light and the dark, the seen and the unseen. In this, he found a quiet strength, a resilience that was born not of force, but of acceptance. The storm, he realized, was not something to be feared, but a natural cycle of life, a force to be understood and respected. As he completed his practice, Kenshiro sheathed his sword, the metal sliding into its scabbard with a satisfying click. He stood for a moment, eyes closed, breathing deeply, feeling the rhythm of the earth beneath his feet, the pulse of life that connected him to all things. It was in this moment of stillness that he sensed a presence, the faintest shift in the air that spoke of another's approach. His eyes opened, and he turned slowly, his gaze falling upon a figure at the edge of the clearing. It was a young woman, her presence as unexpected as it was intriguing. She stood with a quiet confidence, her eyes meeting his with a curiosity that mirrored his own. Her attire was simple, Yet there was an elegance to her bearing that spoke of a life lived with purpose. "Your movements are like poetry," she said, her voice a gentle lilt that carried on the breeze. "They tell a story of grace and strength, of a soul at peace." Kenshiro inclined his head, acknowledging the compliment. "Thank you," he replied, his tone warm yet reserved. "I find solace in the practice, a way to quiet the noise of the world." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. In a world as restless as ours, such peace is a rare treasure. It is said that those who seek it often find themselves tested, their resolve challenged by the storms of life. Her words resonated with the conversation he had shared with the stranger, and Kenshiro felt a subtle shift within him, a recognition of a shared understanding. "The storms are many," he agreed, "but they are not without purpose. They teach us to bend without breaking, to find strength in our roots." The woman smiled, a gentle curve of her lips that spoke of wisdom and kindness. "Perhaps that is why we endure," she said softly. "To learn, to grow, and to become more than we were before." For a moment, they stood in silence, two souls connected by the threads of fate and the mysteries of life. It was a silence that required no words, a communion of spirits that transcended the need for explanation. Finally, she spoke again, her voice a quiet invitation. "Would you walk with me, samurai? There are paths here that lead to places of great beauty, where the spirit may find rest." Kenshiro considered her offer, feeling the weight of his own curiosity and the pull of an adventure yet unwritten. "I would be honored," he said, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his lips. Together, they set off into the forest, their steps a harmonious rhythm that matched the symphony of the world around them. As they walked, Kenshiro found himself listening not only to her words, but to the stories carried on the wind, the whispers of trees, the songs of distant birds. It was as if the forest itself was alive, a living tapestry woven from the threads of time and memory. The path they took led them deeper into the heart of the forest, where the light filtered through the canopy in dappled patterns, creating a mosaic of shadows and light. The air was filled with the scent of wildflowers and the earth's rich musk, a fragrant reminder of the life that thrived in this secluded sanctuary. As they walked, the woman spoke of the land and its history, of the ancient spirits that dwelled within the forest's embrace. Her tales were woven with a reverence for the past and a hope for the future, a testament to the enduring power of nature and the resilience of the human spirit. Kenshiro listened, his heart open to the wisdom she shared, his mind eager to learn. In her stories, he found echoes of his own journey, a reflection of his quest for peace and understanding. It was a journey that was both solitary and shared, a path that was uniquely his, yet intertwined with the lives of others. As they reached a clearing, the woman paused, her gaze sweeping over the landscape before them. It was a place of breathtaking beauty, a meadow bathed in golden sunlight, where wildflowers bloomed in riotous colors and a gentle stream sang a melody of life. "This is where I come to find peace," she said softly, her voice a caress upon the wind. "A place where the world's troubles seem to fade away, where the spirit can breathe and the heart can dream." Kenshiro nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate within him. The meadow was a sanctuary, a haven of tranquility that offered a respite from the world's chaos. Here, in this place of beauty and stillness, he felt a sense of belonging, a connection to the earth and to the spirit that dwelled within it. Together, they stood in silence, their hearts open to the wonder of the world around them. It was a moment of grace, a fleeting glimpse of eternity that lingered in the soul long after the moment had passed. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the land, Kenshiro knew that his journey was far from over. Yet, in this place, in this time, he found a peace that was both elusive and enduring. A peace that would guide him through the storms to come. A peace that was the true heart of a sleepy samurai's path. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, its golden light danced across the meadow, illuminating the wildflowers and casting a soft glow upon the faces of Kenshiro and the woman beside him. Her name was Yuki, a gentle spirit whose presence was as soothing as the rustle of the wind through the trees. They lingered, savoring the silence that wrapped around them like a warm cloak. Kenshiro felt a peculiar stillness seep into his bones, a calm that was both foreign and welcoming. Here, in this tranquil meadow, the relentless demands of honor and duty seemed as distant as the fading horizon. His thoughts began to drift, carried away on the gentle breeze, and he found himself wondering about the life he had led, the paths he had chosen, and those yet to be discovered. Yuki turned to him, her eyes reflecting the colors of the setting sun. "Do you often seek solitude?" she asked, her voice a soft murmur in the evening air. Kenshiro considered her question, the weight of introspection settling upon him. "I suppose I do," he replied thoughtfully. "In solitude, one can hear the whispers of the soul, the truths that are often drowned out by the clamor of the world." She smiled, a knowing smile that spoke of understanding beyond words. "It is in these moments of quiet reflection that we find our true selves," she said. "And perhaps, in finding ourselves, we find our place in the world." The words hung between them, a delicate thread weaving their souls together. Kenshiro was reminded of the teachings of his masters, the lessons of balance and harmony that had shaped his path. Yet, despite the years of discipline and training, there was a part of him that remained unfulfilled, a yearning for something more, something beyond the confines of duty. As the last rays of sunlight slipped away, a chill settled over the meadow. Kenshiro felt a shiver run through him, a reminder of the world beyond this peaceful sanctuary, a world fraught with challenges and uncertainty. He knew he could not linger here forever. The path of a samurai was one of constant movement, a journey that demanded courage and tenacity. Reluctantly, he turned to Yuki, a sense of regret tugging at his heart. "I must go," he said quietly, his voice tinged with reluctance. "There are duties that await me, responsibilities I cannot ignore." Yuki nodded, her expression serene. "I understand," she replied. "But remember, the peace you seek is always within you. It is not bound by place or time. It is a part of who you are." Her words resonated deep within him, a gentle reminder of the strength that lay dormant in his soul. Kenshiro bowed respectfully, a gesture of gratitude for the wisdom she had shared. As he turned to leave, he felt her gaze upon him, a silent benediction that would accompany him on his journey. The path through the forest was shrouded in twilight, the shadows lengthening as night descended. Kenshiro walked with measured steps, his senses attuned to the world around him. The rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, the faint scent of pine, all were familiar companions on his solitary journey. As he traveled, his mind turned to the events that had brought him to this point. The days of fighting, the nights of restless slumber, the ever-present struggle to balance the demands of the world with his own inner turmoil. Yet, in the midst of chaos, he had found moments of clarity, glimpses of the path he sought. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden rustling in the underbrush, a sound that sent a jolt of alertness through his weary frame. Kenshiro paused, his hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of his katana. In the dim light, he could make out the shape of a figure emerging from the shadows, moving with a grace that belied the tension in the air. "Who goes there?" Kenshiro called, his voice steady despite the unease that coiled within him. The figure stepped into the moonlight, revealing the familiar face of Hiroshi, a fellow samurai and trusted ally. Relief washed over Kanshuro, though he remained wary. In these uncertain times, even friends could become foes. Hiroshi, Kanshuro greeted, his hand relaxing its grip on the sword. "What brings you here at this hour?" Hiroshi's expression was grave, a shadow passing over his features. "I come with news," he replied, his voice low and urgent. "There are whispers of a betrayal, a plot against our lord. I fear danger is closer than we think." The words sent a chill down Kanshuro's spine, dispelling the last remnants of tranquility he had found in the meadow. Betrayal was a poison that seeped into the heart of loyalty, a threat that could unravel the delicate balance of power. Who would dare such treachery? Kanshuro asked, his mind racing with the implications. Hiroshi shook his head, frustration etched in his features. "I do not know for certain," he admitted. "But there are those who are discontent, who see opportunity in chaos. We must be vigilant, my friend." Kanshuro nodded, the weight of responsibility settling upon him once more. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, a labyrinth of intrigue and danger that demanded caution and cunning. Yet, within him burned a fire, a resolve to protect what he held dear, to uphold the honor that defined him. Together, they made their way through the forest, the night alive with the murmurs of unseen creatures. As they walked, Kanshuro felt the presence of the meadow linger in his mind, a beacon of peace that would guide him through the trials to come. It was a reminder of the strength that lay within, a promise of serenity amidst the storm. The journey was arduous, the path winding through treacherous terrain and shrouded in darkness. Yet, with each step, Kanshuro felt a sense of purpose solidify within him, a determination to face the challenges ahead with courage and grace. As dawn broke upon the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Kanshuro knew that the road ahead would not be easy. But in his heart, he carried the peace of the meadow, a sanctuary that dwelled within him, a promise of hope and redemption. And so, as the sleepy samurai continued his journey, he embraced the path before him, knowing that though the world was filled with shadows, there was light to be found, a light that would guide him home. The first light of dawn cast its gentle glow over the landscape, a soft illumination that seemed to awaken the very soul of the earth. The air was crisp and filled with the scent of dew-kissed leaves, an aromatic symphony that played in harmony with the rustling of the trees and the distant call of a lone bird greeting the morning. Kanshuro's senses were alive, attuned to the subtle changes in the world around him. Each sound, each whisper of the wind through the branches, was a note in a song he had come to cherish. It was a melody of life, a reminder that even in the quietude of solitude, there was beauty to be found. The road, though treacherous, was not without its own rewards. As he walked, the sleepy samurai encountered streams that babbled over smooth stones, their waters clear and cold, a reflection of the sky's ever-changing hues. He paused at one such stream, kneeling to drink from its purity, feeling the chill of the water as it coursed through him, invigorating him, banishing the last vestiges of sleep from his weary mind. With each sip, he felt more connected to the land, as if drawing strength from its ancient roots. The forest, though dense and shadowed, was a haven, a place where he could find solace and clarity amidst the chaos of his thoughts. The journey was not without its perils. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows through the trees, Kanshuro found himself navigating narrow paths flanked by steep ravines. The ground beneath his feet was uneven, and more than once he stumbled, catching himself on the gnarled roots that twisted through the earth like the veins of some ancient creature. Yet, despite the challenges, there was a calm that had settled within him, a serenity that seemed to grow with each step. It was the peace of the meadow, a memory that lingered in his heart, a talisman against the uncertainty of the path ahead. As midday approached, the forest began to thin, giving way to rolling hills that stretched towards the horizon. Here, the world seemed to open up, the sky vast and blue, dotted with clouds that drifted lazily in the gentle breeze. It was a landscape of dreams, a canvas painted in soft pastels, inviting and serene. Kenshiro paused at the crest of a hill, surveying the land before him. In the distance, he could see the silhouette of a village, its rooftops glinting in the sunlight like a promise. It was a place that beckoned to him, a destination that seemed to hold the answers he sought. Yet, beneath the tranquility, there was a tension that thrummed through the air, a sense of anticipation, as if the world were holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter of his journey to unfold. As he made his way towards the village, Kenshiro was acutely aware of the eyes that watched him from the shadows, silent sentinels that observed his every move. He could feel their presence, a subtle pressure against his senses, a reminder that even in peace, there could be danger. The village, when he finally arrived, was a place of quiet industry. Farmers tended to their fields, their rhythmic motions a dance of labor and life. Children played in the streets, their laughter a bright counterpoint to the gentle murmur of the crowd. Kenshiro's arrival did not go unnoticed. The villagers regarded him with a mix of curiosity and wariness, their eyes tracing the lines of his armor, the sword at his side. He was a stranger in their midst, a solitary figure in a world that prized community and connection. Yet, there was a warmth to their gazes, a hospitality that spoke of a willingness to welcome him, to offer shelter and sustenance to a weary traveler. He found himself drawn to a small inn at the edge of the village, its wooden facade weathered by time, yet inviting in its simplicity. The innkeeper, a kindly old man with a face lined by years of laughter and toil, greeted him with a nod, motioning for him to enter. Inside, the inn was a refuge, a place where the scent of rice and miso mingled with the warmth of a crackling hearth. Kenshiro felt the weight of his journey slip from his shoulders as he settled at a low table, grateful for the chance to rest and replenish his strength. The innkeeper, sensing his fatigue, brought him a bowl of steaming broth, its aroma rich and comforting. Kenshiro accepted it with a nod of gratitude, savoring each sip as it warmed him from within, chasing away the chill of the road. As he ate, the inn slowly filled with the hum of conversation, villagers gathering to share stories and laughter, to find solace in the company of friends and family. It was a scene of simple beauty, a reminder of the joys to be found in the bonds of community. Yet, even as he sat amidst the warmth and light, Kenshiro felt the pull of the shadows, a reminder that his journey was far from over, that there were still trials to face, challenges that awaited him beyond the safety of the village. He knew that the path ahead would not be easy, that the world was a place of uncertainty and danger. But he also knew that within him lay the strength of the meadow, the peace that would guide him through the darkest of nights. As evening fell, painting the sky in shades of indigo and silver, Kenshiro rose to leave, his heart filled with a quiet resolve. He had found a moment of respite, a chance to gather his strength for the road ahead. With a final nod to the innkeeper, he stepped into the cool embrace of the night, the village fading into the distance as he continued on his journey. The road stretched before him, a ribbon of possibility unwinding beneath the stars. And as he walked, the sleepy samurai carried with him the promise of the meadow, a beacon of hope and light, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was a path that led home. The night air was crisp and alive with the subtle whispers of the forest. Each step Kenshiro took seemed to echo in the stillness, the gentle crunch of gravel beneath his sandals marking his passage through the world. The stars above glittered like scattered grains of rice, casting their ancient light upon the earth, guiding him forward. The moon, a silent guardian, watched over him, its pale glow casting long shadows that danced and flickered with his every movement. Kenshiro's mind wandered as he walked, the rhythmic cadence of his steps lulling him into a meditative state. Thoughts came and went like the wind through the trees. He reflected on the village he had left behind, the faces of the people who had shown him kindness and warmth. Their generosity had been a balm to his weary soul, a reminder that even in a world fraught with peril, there existed islands of peace. Yet, the memory of his nap in the meadow lingered most vividly, a moment of tranquility that had imbued him with newfound strength. It was as if the very earth had whispered secrets of endurance and patience to him, secrets he now carried within his heart like a treasured talisman. The path ahead was uncertain, and Kenshiro knew that every bend in the road could conceal danger. Bandits were known to roam the countryside, preying upon travelers with no regard for honor or mercy. He fingered the hilt of his katana, feeling the familiar weight of the weapon at his side. It was a comforting presence, a reminder of his training and his duty as a samurai. But even the sharpest blade could not pierce the veil of uncertainty that hung like mist over the future. As the hours slipped by, Kenshiro's thoughts turned to the tales of warriors who had walked this road before him, legends of bravery and sacrifice, of battles fought and won against impossible odds. He recalled the stories his sensei had shared during his years of training, stories that had shaped his understanding of the world and his place within it. The ancient code of Bushido, with its emphasis on honor, loyalty, and discipline, was a guiding light in the darkness, a compass that pointed towards true north. Yet, Kenshiro's eyelids grew heavy as the night deepened, and he found himself fighting the familiar pull of sleep. He shook his head, trying to dispel the lethargy that threatened to overtake him. It was an ongoing struggle, this battle against his own nature, a test of will that he faced each day anew. But he could not afford to succumb, not now, not when the night was thick with unseen dangers. In the distance, the sound of rushing water reached his ears, a welcome melody that promised refreshment and rest. He quickened his pace, drawn towards the source of the sound. The path wound through the trees, leading him to a small clearing where a stream babbled merrily over smooth stones. Moonlight danced upon the water, turning it to liquid silver. Kenshiro knelt by the stream, cupping his hands to drink deeply of the cool, clear water. It invigorated him, washing away the fatigue that clung to his bones. He splashed his face, relishing the shock of cold against his skin, the way it sharpened his senses and banished the fog of drowsiness. As he sat back on his heels, he became aware of a presence nearby, a movement in the shadows that set his instincts on edge. His hand went to the hilt of his sword, his senses attuned to the slightest hint of danger. The forest was silent, the only sound the gentle murmur of the stream and the distant call of a night bird. Then, from the darkness, a figure emerged, a woman, her form draped in a simple kimono that fluttered like moth wings in the night breeze. Her eyes were pools of midnight, reflecting the moon's light with an ethereal glow. Kenshiro rose to his feet, his stance wary but non-threatening. "Peace, samurai," the woman spoke, her voice a soft whisper that seemed to blend with the night itself. "I mean you no harm." Kenshiro relaxed slightly, though he remained vigilant. "Who are you?" he asked, his curiosity piqued by her sudden appearance. "I am but a traveler, like yourself," she replied, her gaze steady and calm. "The road is long and lonely, and I seek only to share its company for a time." There was something enigmatic about her, an air of mystery that surrounded her like a cloak. Yet her presence was soothing, and Kenshiro found himself nodding in agreement. "Very well," he said, gesturing for her to join him by the stream. "The night is dark, and the road is safer when traveled together." They sat side by side, the stream singing its timeless song as the night unfolded around them. For a while, they spoke of simple things: the beauty of the stars, the fragrance of the night air, the stories of travelers they had met along their journeys. Her laughter was like the tinkling of wind chimes, and Kenshiro found himself smiling despite the shadows that lay upon his heart. But beneath the surface of their conversation, a tension simmered, an unspoken understanding that both were aware of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. Kenshiro watched her from the corner of his eye, noting the way her hand rested lightly on the hilt of a small dagger at her waist. She was no ordinary traveler, and he wondered what secrets lay hidden behind her serene exterior. As the hours passed, the moon climbed higher in the sky, and Kenshiro felt the pull of sleep once more. He fought against it, unwilling to let his guard down in the presence of a stranger. Yet, the woman seemed to sense his struggle, and she turned to him with a gentle smile. "Rest," she said softly, her voice a soothing balm to his weary soul. "I will keep watch." He hesitated, torn between trust and caution. But there was something in her eyes, a quiet assurance that spoke of honor and sincerity. Reluctantly, he nodded, allowing himself to lean back against the rough bark of a tree, his sword resting within easy reach. Sleep claimed him swiftly, and he drifted into a world of dreams where the meadow awaited, a place of peace and light, untouched by the shadows of the waking world. He wandered through fields of golden grass, the air alive with the scent of wildflowers and the gentle hum of bees. It was a place of healing, a refuge for his spirit. When he awoke, the first light of dawn was painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. The woman was gone, leaving no trace of her presence save for the memory of her laughter and the warmth of her company. Kenshiro rose, feeling refreshed and invigorated, the promise of a new day unfolding before him. He continued on his journey, the path winding through the forest and out into the open fields. The world was waking, the air alive with the songs of birds and the rustle of leaves in the morning breeze. Kenshiro walked with purpose, his heart buoyed by the knowledge that he was not alone, that even in the darkest hours, there were allies to be found, companions who shared the same road. The challenges ahead were many, but he faced them with renewed strength and determination. The sleepy samurai had discovered something precious on his journey, a connection to the world around him, a sense of belonging that transcended the trials of the road. And as he walked, he carried with him the lessons of the meadow and the promise of the dawn, a beacon of hope that guided him ever onward. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a gentle, golden glow over the landscape as Kenshiro made his way through the fields. Each step he took was a dance with the earth, a rhythm that pulsed through his veins and matched the heartbeat of the world around him. The tall grasses swayed in the breeze, whispering secrets that only the wind could interpret, while flowers dotted the expanse like stars fallen to earth. Kenshiro's mind wandered as he walked, contemplating the myriad paths that had brought him to this moment. He thought of his early days as a samurai, when the weight of expectation had been his constant companion, and the demands of honor had felt like an insurmountable mountain. He recalled the countless hours spent in rigorous training, the sweat and toil that had shaped his body and mind into instruments of precision and strength. Yet, despite the disciplined exterior, there had always been a part of him that yearned for something more, something beyond the rigid confines of duty and tradition. His recent encounters had awakened within him a curiosity about the world, a desire to understand the forces that moved unseen beneath the surface of things. As he pondered these thoughts, he noticed a change in the air, a subtle shift that prickled at the edge of his awareness. The birds had fallen silent, and the rustle of the leaves had stilled. There was a tension in the air, an expectancy that set his senses on edge. Kenshiro paused, scanning the horizon with eyes honed by years of vigilance. The fields stretched out before him, tranquil and undisturbed, yet he knew better than to be deceived by appearances. The world had a way of hiding its secrets in plain sight, and it was the duty of a samurai to see beyond the veil. As he stood there, a movement caught his eye, a flicker of shadow against the light. It was the briefest of glimpses, but it was enough to send a thrill of anticipation coursing through him. Slowly, deliberately, he turned in the direction of the movement, his hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of his katana. The figure emerged from the edge of the forest, stepping into the light with the grace of a predator. It was a man, clad in the dark garb of a ronin, his eyes sharp and calculating. Kenshiro could sense the weight of experience in the stranger's gaze, the knowledge of one who had walked the path of the warrior and tasted the bitterness of exile. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. There was a silent understanding between them, a recognition of kindred spirits who walked the same road, albeit from different directions. The ronin nodded, acknowledging Kenshiro's presence with a respect that belied the tension in the air. "Greetings, traveler," the ronin said, his voice as smooth and fluid as a mountain stream. "It is rare to find another on this path. What brings you to these fields?" Kenshiro considered the question, weighing his words carefully. "I seek understanding," he replied, his voice steady and clear. "I seek to know the world beyond the blade and the code." The ronin smiled, a fleeting expression that softened the lines of his face. "Then we are not so different, you and I. The path of the warrior is a lonely one, yet it is filled with lessons that go beyond the art of combat." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared journey hanging between them like a bridge over an unseen chasm. Then, with a nod, the ronin gestured to the path ahead. "Come," he said, "walk with me a while. There is much we can learn from each other." Kenshiro hesitated for a heartbeat, then fell into step beside the ronin, the two of them moving as one through the fields. The tension that had gripped the air began to dissolve, replaced by the easy camaraderie of fellow travelers. As they walked, the ronin spoke of his own journey, of the battles fought and the lessons learned. He spoke of the times when he had been adrift, lost in a world that seemed indifferent to his struggles. Yet, through it all, he had found strength in the simple act of putting one foot in front of the other, of trusting in the path even when it seemed to lead nowhere. Kenshiro listened, absorbing the wisdom in the ronin's words like a parched land drinking in the rain. He found himself sharing his own story, the tale of a sleepy samurai who had stumbled through life, only to find clarity in the most unexpected of places. It was a story of awakening, of discovering the beauty in the mundane and the magic in the everyday. Their conversation wove a tapestry of understanding, a bond forged in the crucible of shared experience. It was a reminder that even in the vastness of the world, there were connections to be found, threads that linked one soul to another. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the fields. The world around them seemed to pulse with life, each moment a fleeting brushstroke on the canvas of their journey. Kenshiro felt a sense of peace settle over him, a quiet certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be. As the day wore on, the path began to wind its way toward a small village nestled at the foot of a distant mountain. The sight of it stirred something within Kenshiro, a memory of home that tugged at the edges of his consciousness. He realized that his journey was nearing another turning point, a new chapter waiting to be written. The Ronin stopped at the edge of the village, his gaze lingering on the thatched roofs and winding streets. "This is where our paths part, for now," he said, a hint of sadness in his voice. "But remember, the road is long, and we may yet meet again." Kanshiro nodded, a smile touching his lips. "Thank you, my friend, for the lessons and the company. I will carry them with me." With a final nod, the Ronin turned and disappeared into the forest, leaving Kanshiro to face the village alone. Yet, as he stepped forward, he felt a lightness in his heart, a buoyancy that lifted his spirit and propelled him onward. The village welcomed him with open arms, its people warm and hospitable. Kanshiro found himself drawn into the rhythm of their lives, sharing in their joys and sorrows, and learning the art of living in harmony with the land. As the days passed, he discovered new facets of himself, parts that had lain dormant beneath the surface. He found joy in the simple pleasures, a shared meal, a child's laughter, the quiet beauty of a sunrise. And in those moments, he realized that the journey was not about reaching a destination, but about embracing the path itself. Kanshiro's story was far from over, yet he knew that he was on the right road. The sleepy samurai had awoken, not just to the world around him, but to the world within. And as he continued his journey, he carried with him the promise of the dawn, a beacon of hope that guided him ever onward. The village nestled in the gentle folds of the valley, cradled like a beloved child by the arms of the surrounding hills. Its heartbeat was a symphony of rustling leaves, distant laughter, and the melodic clinking of wind chimes hung from the eaves of wooden houses. Kanshiro had never known such tranquility, and it seeped into his bones like the warmth of the sun after a storm. He found himself rising with the dawn, the sky brushed with the soft pastels of morning light. The villagers taught him the rhythms of their life, a dance choreographed by the seasons and the whims of nature. Kanshiro learned to till the earth, his hands growing accustomed to the rough texture of soil. He helped mend the thatched roofs and took part in the harvest, the golden ears of rice heavy with promise. Yet, even in this idyllic setting, the shadows of the past lingered. Kanshiro was not the only one who had sought refuge from the chaos of the world. The villagers, too, carried stories etched deep within their hearts, tales of loss and survival, of resilience and hope. In the evenings, as the fire crackled in the heart of the communal hall, they shared these stories, each word a thread in the tapestry of their shared existence. Kanshiro listened, his heart a vessel for their pain and joy. He told his tale, too, of battles fought and lost, of the haunting specter of sleep that had pursued him like a relentless foe. The villagers listened with rapt attention, their eyes reflecting the flickering flames of the hearth. They did not judge him for his weariness. Instead, they embraced him, their acceptance a balm for his restless soul. In those moments, Kanshiro began to understand the true nature of strength. It was not found in the swing of a sword or the glory of a battlefield, but in the quiet courage to face each day anew, in the resilience to weather the storms of life and emerge, not unscathed, but wiser and more compassionate. One crisp autumn morning, as the first frost whispered over the fields, Kanshiro awoke to find a letter waiting for him, its edges worn and weathered. It was from an old comrade, a fellow samurai who had heard of his whereabouts. The letter spoke of unrest, of a rising tide of conflict that threatened to engulf the land once more. Kanshiro's heart tightened as he read the familiar script, memories of blood and steel flooding back with a force that left him breathless. The village, too, had sensed the encroaching danger. Whispers of bandit raids had reached their ears, tales of marauders who swept through the countryside like a plague of locusts, leaving ruin in their wake. Kanshiro felt the weight of responsibility settle upon his shoulders like an old, familiar cloak. The villagers looked to him, their eyes a mixture of fear and hope. He knew he could not turn away. The sleepy samurai had found peace, but he had not forgotten his duty. Kanshuro began to train the villagers, teaching them the basics of defense, the art of turning simple tools into weapons of survival. They practiced in the fields, their laughter mingling with the clatter of wooden stays and the swish of arrows slicing through the air. Days turned into weeks, and the villagers grew in strength and confidence. Kanshuro watched with pride as they honed their skills, their determination a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He, too, found himself revitalized, the fog of exhaustion lifting as he embraced this new purpose. But as the first snows dusted the landscape in a blanket of white, the threat loomed ever closer. The bandits were a force of nature, a storm that could not be avoided, only weathered. Kanshuro knew the time for preparation was nearing its end. The villagers gathered in the communal hall, their faces etched with resolve. On the eve of the anticipated attack, Kanshuro sat alone beneath the ancient cherry blossom tree that stood at the heart of the village. Its gnarled branches reached for the sky, a testament to endurance and grace. The moon hung low and full, casting a silvery glow over the land. Kanshuro closed his eyes, drawing in the crisp air, each breath a silent prayer. He thought of all he had learned in this village, of the kindness and courage that had been shown to him. He thought of his journey, the battles fought within and without, and the unexpected gift of awakening that had been bestowed upon him. The sleepy samurai had come far, yet there was still much further to go. As dawn broke, painting the world in hues of gold and crimson, the village stirred to life. Kanshuro stood at the forefront, his katana gleaming in the early light. The villagers flanked him, their makeshift weapons held with steady hands. Together, they formed an unbreakable line, a wall of resolve and unity. The air was thick with anticipation, the silence before the storm. And then, like a distant rumble of thunder, they came. The bandits poured into the valley, a dark tide of chaos and destruction. Kanshuro's heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of adrenaline and purpose. The battle was fierce, a whirlwind of clashing steel and shouts that pierced the tranquil air. Kanshuro moved with the grace of a dancer, his blade an extension of his will. The villagers fought with a fervor born of necessity, their courage a beacon in the encroaching darkness. It was a trial by fire, a test of all they had learned and all they had become. The bandits, taken aback by the unexpected resistance, faltered, and in that moment, Kanshuro saw the opportunity, the chance to turn the tide. With a rallying cry, he led the charge, his voice a clarion call that echoed across the battlefield. The villagers surged forward, a wave of defiance and hope. Together, they pushed back the invaders, inch by hard-won inch, until the bandits broke and fled, their ranks shattered, their spirits crushed. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, a profound silence descended upon the valley. Kanshuro stood amidst the aftermath, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Around him, the villagers began to cheer, their voices rising in a joyous crescendo that filled the air with victory and relief. Kanshuro felt a deep sense of fulfillment, a quiet joy that welled up from within. He had found his place, not as a lone warrior wandering the world, but as a part of something greater, a community bound by love and shared purpose. As the village celebrated, Kanshuro slipped away to the edge of the fields, where the cherry blossom tree awaited him. He leaned against its sturdy trunk, his eyes turned to the sky, where the stars began to twinkle in the gathering dusk. The journey was far from over, but in that moment, Kanshuro knew he had found a home in the hearts of these people, in the land that had embraced him. The sleepy samurai had awakened, not just from the haze of exhaustion, but to the beauty and promise of life itself. And as the world turned beneath the watchful gaze of the moon, Kenshiro allowed himself to dream once more, his heart filled with the promise of new beginnings. The gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets of the past and promises of the future, as Kenshiro stood beneath the cherry blossom tree. The petals, like delicate whispers of pink, danced around him in the soft evening breeze, each one a reminder of fleeting beauty and the inexorable passage of time. Kenshiro closed his eyes, letting the cool air wash over him, carrying with it the laughter and music from the village. It was a symphony of life, a melody that spoke of resilience and hope, of battles fought and won, and of a future yet to be written. He breathed in deeply, savoring the scent of earth and blossoms, feeling the heartbeat of the world resonate with his own. In the quiet of that moment, Kenshiro reflected on the journey that had brought him here. It was a path marked by trials and triumphs, by moments of doubt and clarity. He had faced his own shadows, and in doing so, had discovered the light within himself, a light that now burned brighter than ever before. As the stars began to weave their tapestry across the night sky, Kenshiro felt a profound peace settle within him. He knew that the road ahead would not be without its challenges, but he was no longer afraid. He had learned the power of unity, the strength found in bonds of friendship and love. And he had learned that to truly live was to embrace each moment, to cherish each fleeting petal as it fell, and to dance in the rain without fear. With a final glance at the heavens, Kenshiro turned back towards the village, his heart a beacon of newfound hope. The path was his to tread, and he would walk it with courage and grace, a samurai not only of skill but of spirit. And so, as the moon bathed the world in its gentle glow, Kenshiro stepped forward, his soul alight with the promise of tomorrow, and the enduring beauty of the journey that lay ahead. The village welcomed him with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of the river, a symphony of life continuing its eternal cycle. Kenshiro felt the familiar earth beneath his feet, each step a testament to the path he had walked and the person he had become. The villagers, sensing the change within him, greeted him with warmth and respect, their eyes reflecting the shared journey and the stories they had woven together. Among them, Aya stood, her smile a gentle reminder of the love and understanding that had guided him through his darkest hours. She approached, her presence a soothing balm to his soul. "Welcome home, Kenshiro," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of her own trials and triumphs, and the promise of shared dreams yet to be fulfilled. Together, they walked through the village, past the fields that whispered of harvests to come, and the homes that echoed with laughter and life. The world around them seemed to breathe with renewed energy, mirroring the transformation within Kenshiro. He felt a deep connection to this place, to the land and its people, and to the simple, profound truth that he was exactly where he was meant to be. As the night deepened, they gathered in the heart of the village, a circle of friends and family united by their collective stories of courage and resilience. The fire crackled warmly, casting flickering shadows that danced in harmony with the stars above. Kenshiro shared his journey, his voice steady and filled with gratitude, not just for the trials that had tested him, but for the love that had sustained him and the wisdom that had illuminated his path. In that moment, beneath the vast and endless sky, Kenshiro understood the essence of his journey. It was not the destination that defined him, but the journey itself, the lives he touched, the lessons he learned, and the love he gave and received. He realized that every step, every challenge, and every triumph had led him to this point, where the past and future converged into a single, perfect now. And so, with hearts full and spirits aligned, they celebrated the beauty of life, the richness of their shared tapestry, and the infinite possibilities of the dawn that awaited them. Kenshiro knew that as long as he held onto the light within, he would never walk alone, for the bonds they had forged would guide him through any darkness. Thus, the night unfolded, a serene testament to life's endless cycle of endings and beginnings. And as the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, Kenshiro stood ready, grounded in the knowledge that the greatest journey was always the one that lay ahead, and that the truest home was the one he carried within. As the sun began its gentle ascent, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose, Kenshiro felt a profound sense of peace settle over him. The world around him, once teeming with uncertainty and unanswered questions, now seemed to whisper with clarity. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call, was a reminder that life was a symphony, and he was but one of its notes, resonant and essential. He turned to his companions, each of whom had journeyed alongside him, their paths intricately woven with his own. Their eyes met, sharing a silent understanding, an unspoken promise to cherish the moments they had carved out of time. The bonds formed in shared laughter and tears were the true treasure of their adventure, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In that moment, Kenshiro understood that his story was not merely his own, but a part of a larger narrative that spanned time and space. It was a tapestry rich with the colors of every encounter, every choice, and every dream that had breathed life into his journey. And as he stood on the cusp of a new beginning, he felt an overwhelming gratitude for the tapestry they had woven together. With a deep breath, Kenshiro took the first step toward the horizon, where the sun's warmth promised new adventures and untold stories. He carried with him the echoes of laughter, the warmth of friendship, and the quiet strength that had been nurtured through trials and triumphs. The path ahead was uncharted, but it was bright, and he was ready to embrace it fully. Thus, as the world awoke to the promise of a new day, Kenshiro walked forward, his heart a compass, guiding him toward the boundless possibilities that awaited. And in the gentle embrace of the morning light, he knew that every ending was but a new beginning, and every journey, a step toward home. As the morning sun began to paint the sky with hues of gold and rose, Kenshiro felt a profound sense of peace settle within him. The journey he had traveled was one of countless winding roads, each leading him to a deeper understanding of himself and the world around him. He knew now that every moment, every encounter, had been a thread in the vast tapestry of his life, weaving together a story that was uniquely his, yet part of something far greater. He glanced back one last time, taking in the familiar landscape that had been his world for so long. The mountains stood as silent sentinels, the rivers whispered tales of their own, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze, as if bidding him farewell. Kenshiro smiled, knowing that these places would always remain a part of him, etched in his heart like sacred runes. With purposeful strides, he moved forward, each step a testament to the courage and resilience that had brought him to this moment. The road before him was bathed in the soft glow of dawn, a promise of the adventures that lay in wait. And though the path was new, he carried with him the wisdom of his past, a compass that would guide him through the unknown. In the distance, birds took flight, their wings carving graceful arcs in the sky, symbolic of the freedom and hope that now filled his soul. Kenshiro knew that life was an ever-changing journey, a dance between the known and the undiscovered. Every chapter, every pause, was but a chance to grow, to learn, and to love. As he reached the crest of the hill, the world opened up before him, vast and inviting. He paused for a moment, letting the gentle breeze caress his face, a reminder that he was alive, that he was part of this wondrous, ever-evolving story. And so, with a heart full of dreams and a spirit unbound, Kenshiro stepped into the future, ready to embrace whatever lay beyond the horizon. For in the dance of life, he had found his rhythm, a melody that sang of hope, of joy, and of endless possibilities. And as the sun rose higher, casting its light upon the world, he knew that his journey was just beginning, and that every step would lead him closer to the truth of who he was meant to be. Thus, in the gentle embrace of the morning light, Kenshiro walked onward, into the boundless embrace of the unknown, where every ending was but a new beginning, and every journey, a step toward home.